Do you read slowly?
It depends, I guess. Yeah, I do read slowly. Sometimes I have to give myself permission to miss things.
Yes. I can't. I wish I could do that.
But when I say that, I'm talking about like really bad sci-fi novels.
Okay.
Yeah, not like Aquinas or Dostoevsky.
Because sometimes you hit something like in the Theology of the Body or the Summa, and you're like, I don't know what you're saying.
Yeah.
And then sometimes if you keep reading,
that's such a wonderful thing to say out loud and just to acknowledge. I wonder if sometimes we're just afraid to admit we don't know things and we just rush past it because we're afraid of our own incompetence. But sometimes when you just stop and go, I don't know what this means, that's a really good thing to...
Mortimer J. Adler, who's one of my heroes in the intellectual life, he said to grow in intellect, you should always be reading things a little bit above you. And I've also learned, I'll say something from... The owl says hoot. And then I also find that really endearing about Jordan Peterson.
Yeah?
Yeah, I just feel like he'll say things like, I've been thinking about that for a long time. And I don't... And he'll just tell you like when he's... I don't know what to think about that. I've been thinking about that for a long time, and
I don't know.
Here's where I'm at. But it's just two. But you're like that. I feel like you were just telling me about a debate that happened, and you're like, I'm not really sure if I understand what either guy was saying.
For those at home, the Jacob Imam Trent Horn debate. It's like, I don't... Like, Scott Hahn came up to me at the conference. He's like, what did you think? And I'm like, I don't know.
And you were there?
Yeah. And I don't say I don't know in a profound way. Like, oh, wow, you must be thinking this at a deep level. Like, no. I don't know what the words they were saying meant. Like what the speculation, and I'm like, I don't know what. I guess I got to go back and listen to it.
Yes,
it's a scary thing when you encounter two people you deeply respect for their intellect going at it. Both of them think they're 100% right, and you would love to side with either of them because you respect both of them almost equally, maybe, and not really know what to do because you don't understand it.
Yeah, I think that's intellectual humility is an important thing, and one thing that's helped me in my life is I think I'm just like anyone else. I could be given to maybe thinking I'm smarter than him. I don't. That's actually something I struggle with too much because I did terrible at school growing up. So that sort of plants the idea that you're not. Anyway, I went to seminary at St. Meinrad, and so it's in a town of 800 people, and I just met monks who were brilliant, so well-rounded. You know, like a scripture scholar who knows 8 languages, lives in the middle of nowhere. Nobody's going to know who they are. And they just, you know, you'd be eating lunch with them. And that's very humbling. When you meet somebody whose intellect far outstrips yours and they're more humble than you are, that's very convicting. Because when you get to seminary, there's like a real excitement about like, I'm going to learn things. I'm going to learn Greek and I'm going to learn all these amazing things. And I remember the rector of my seminary gave a conference, and it was actually amazing. And his first conference was on Mary as a theologian. How like Mary was the greatest theologian, this teenage Jewish girl. She pondered all these things in her heart, as the scriptures say. And so he had a line in there, something like, so if in your study of theology, it doesn't make you more loving, more service-oriented, more humble, then you're not studying the God who is love. And it was like...
This is getting back. We're going full circle to interesting again. Because I find that way about... I'm like that way about Scott Hahn, you know. I don't care. I say I love him and I don't care who knows it. I just love that man. And I see his humility. Like I brought Cameron Bertuzzi, who I've had on the show before, runs a Protestant YouTube channel. Okay. I brought him over to his house, and, you know, Cameron's talking about different arguments and probably wants to go back and forth with Scott. And he was talking about maybe the contingency argument or something. And he said, and what's the contingency argument of Cameron Bertuzzi? In other words, he was saying like, how did you come to be? Tell me about you. He's just so interested.
Yes.
That's humility. It's if you're someone who's interested, that's a great sign of humility.
Yeah, and I love what you're saying. My favorite book is Orthodoxy by G.K. Chesterton. Yeah, which is I understand he wrote years before he became Catholic.
Yeah,
I think it's one of the best.
Was he a Protestant when he wrote that
intellectual?
book?
He must have been. He was an Anglican.
Okay,
he wrote. It's like the best intellectual invitation to the Catholic faith, and he wasn't Catholic when he wrote it. Huh. Or C.S. Lewis, you know, because for me, what that says is grace has to move your will, and grace is mysterious. And there's something in this book, I think it's by Ryan Ennis Topping, his book on Augustine. He says, for the classical tradition, the person you want to be was the sage. But in the Catholic tradition, the person you want to be was the saint. Like I have a Catholic grade school. I want to have a great little Catholic school. But we cannot deny that there are Catholic saints who never learned how to read. And they're saints. They're in heaven for all of eternity.
That's the goal. Yeah.
That's the goal. So if this is an authentic Catholic school, and the ultimate fruit we're trying to bear in the lives of our graduates is holiness, then there's obviously being Catholic is very intellectual. It's a thinking man's religion, but nevertheless, we can't deny the fact that holiness is more important. And so, for all of your intellectual gifts, can you love? Is your intellect at the service of truth? I think Pope Benedict's the same way. Like, obviously, staggeringly intelligent, but in all of his writings, you just get the sense like, I just want you to understand.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please be sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment below letting us know what you thought about the video.